Hi guys, my name is Matti Sulanto. In this video, I'm going to review the Sigma 60-600mm super telephoto zoom lens and how it performs on the Lumix S1R camera with the Sigma MC21 adapter. Before I go to the topic of the day, please consider subscribing to my channel and tap also the bell icon down there so you'll get notified whenever I post a new video. Okay, let's start with the build quality of this lens. This is a pretty big and heavy lens. It weighs in just under 3 kilograms with the included hood. The build quality of this lens is really good. Even if or when zoomed out, there's absolutely no free play or any wobble in the lens or on the lens inner lens barrel, and all both the focusing ring and the zoom ring are very smooth. The zoom ring is a bit heavy, but understandably so, because there are a lot of elements to move around when zooming all the way from 60 to 600 millimeters. The lens also suffers from zoom creep, so when you are walking around or transporting the lens, it's a good idea to use the lock that prevents the zoom from extending on its own. The build material is some sort of thermal composite. It feels like plastic, but it's supposedly better in the production line. And it also feels quite nice when you hold it. I think it feels nicer than metal. The lens cap is this kind of soft, like a cloth type of lens cap that's very common on other super telephoto lenses as well. And one more thing about the zoom ring. I said it's quite a little bit heavy, but it's also rather long throw. But that's also because there's a lot of focal lengths to cover. And one more thing about the lens hood. It has a rubberized edge, so you can place it even on some rough surface outside, as long as the surface is flat or level enough so that the camera and lens combination will not fall over. This lens is dust and moisture resistant, so it should be safe to continue using it even in bad weather or other hard conditions. The tripod collar is Arca Swiss compatible, so it mounts right on the tripod without any extra accessories. The focal length is all the way from 60 to 600 millimeters with the maximum aperture of f4.5 to 6.3. So the zoom range is pretty much like on a super zoom lens, but make no mistake, this lens is not your handy everyday walk around lens. This is heavy and big lens, but how about the optical quality then? It can't be easy to design this kind of lens that covers such a wide range. The sharpness and contrast go from very good to good depending on your focal length. The best performance comes from about 60 to 300 millimeters, after which the lens gets gradually a little bit softer. But even at 600 millimeters wide open, especially the center image area is still pretty good. Actually, I was surprised how well this performed at 600 millimeters wide open. Because to be honest, I wasn't expecting that much, especially on 47 megapixels. And if you stop down just a little bit to about f8, then you get nice and pretty uniform performance across the whole frame. And especially at the shorter focal lengths, this lens is really sharp. But even at the longest focal length, this lens is very usable indeed. There is some vignetting, of course, wide open, but it disappears at around f8 or so. I didn't see any visible distortions or chromatic aberrations in my shots that I shot on this lens. There is optical image stabilizer inside of this lens, and it seems to be pretty effective. I can't give you any maximum or minimum shutter speeds based on my experience, but it just seemed pretty effective to me, and I didn't get any too shaky pictures even when I was using a little bit like longish shutter speeds. But then there is the autofocus performance, which probably would be pretty good if this lens was mounted on a Canon camera body. This has a Canon mount. But with this MC21 adapter on the Lumix S1R, to be honest, I was a bit disappointed with the autofocus performance. It's kinda slow, and this lens is only suitable for static subjects. Which is a shame, because this kind of lens, I think, is mostly purchased for some kind of wildlife photography. I managed to get some pictures of city birds, but to be able to photograph a flying bird, for example, it's pretty much impossible unless you know exactly where the bird is heading and you can pre-focus and then try to get it. This kind of focal length range would be perfect on a wildlife safari, for example, because it covers everything from 60 to 600 millimeters. If even a big animal would come really close, you would be able to take the picture, but then you would also be able to take the picture from a little bit further away, smaller animal. But at least this combination of this lens, the Sigma MC21 adapter and the Lumix S1 camera body, is not suitable for any kind of moving animals or moving subjects. Unless you know exactly where the subject is going and you can pre-focus and then try to get the shot. The price of this lens is around 2,000 dollars, which is reasonable, I think, for the optical performance you get. And if you're using for example, a Canon body, I believe the autofocus performance also is on a different level altogether. I just hope that when Sigma comes out with the native L-mount lenses, that the autofocus performance will be a lot better than with this combination. My conclusion with this lens is that it's pretty decent lens for the price. But with the adapter, Sigma MC21 adapter on a Lumix S series camera, it's just not suitable for what it's maybe designed for, and that would be wildlife. But if you are a landscape shooter looking for a versatile long telephoto lens, this might be your choice. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.